I can stack them hundreds to the roof. I ain't stopping till they stack to the moon. Without me, my family wouldn't have food. Anybody go against me gotta lose.
What is up, guys? You're listening to the MFCEO Project. I'm Andy. I'm your host, and I am the motherfucking CEO. Guys, if this is your first time listening, welcome. This is not a podcast for everybody. This is a podcast for people that want to fucking dominate. All right? Look, we've all heard it for the last 20 years. Everybody wins. Everybody's special. Everybody gets a fucking trophy. Everybody's a delicate little snowflake. And let's be real, dude. The truth of the matter is that if that's how you're going to go through life, you're also going to go through life fucking broke too. All right? This podcast is technically a business podcast under the entrepreneurship category, I guess, so to speak. But the reality is, I would say that we're much more than that. We're a personal development podcast based around the principles of entrepreneurship. Now, we're not going to sell you shit. I'm not going to run 25 minutes of fucking ads and bore you for the first 25 minutes of the podcast so that I can make a bunch of money. This is called the MFCEO Project for a reason, and it's because we felt a calling to help people understand what it takes to succeed in a world that just isn't equipping people for success. All right? So I'm not charging you anything. I'm not going to sell you a bunch of shit. I'm not going to run a bunch of ads. And I am going to tell you exactly how to succeed. All right? Now, in return for that, I do have a fee. My fee is not monetary. My fee is this. If you get value out of this podcast, and I can guarantee you're going to get value out of this podcast, I ask that you tell one friend for each episode that helps you. All right? I think that's a pretty fair deal. I give you information that's going to make you a lot of fucking money. You tell your fucking friends. That's the deal. All right? So, today, I am joined by the full crew. We have MC Salmon in the house, but he's not MC Salmon today. He's MC Navy. Is that Navy?
It's black.
It's black? I can't tell, man. You got so many different shades of... You're so many shades of gray.
50 shades of color.
That's right. So we got MC
50
Salmon.
shades of gay.
We got MC Salmon Pants, and then we got Casual Vaughn. Yeah. I would say it would be Vaughn, the pastor of disaster, DJ God. But today he's Casual Vaughn.
But in 6 months, I'm going to earn a new nickname from you.
What's that going to be?
Vaughn Swoller.
Vaughn. Oh, dude. That's a good one.
Dope.
Yeah.
I'm going to earn it, though.
Vaughn Swoller. I like it.
Yeah.
So Vaughn came to me about 2 weeks ago. We had a little heart-to-heart about, going through a little funks. I've talked about my depression pretty consistently and how it's cyclical. Vaughn came to me. He was having a rough time. He said, hey, man, what the fuck do I need to do? And this is what I tell everybody they need to do.
That's exactly what I said, too, right?
Yeah.
I said, what the fuck do I need to do?
What, did you just say fuck?
I did.
Whoa, dude.
This is a big moment?
That's a big moment.
Holy shit, I love it.
So Vaughn doesn't... Vaughn likes to keep it PG on the podcast, but he'll occasionally let some fly in the
Well,
combo.
when I get to points of desperation,
yeah,
that's when the F-bomb flows out.
But he asked me, he said, what should I do to get out of this
out of my
funk?
girlfand's shirt.
Huh?
That's how fucking small that shirt looks. So yeah, he's gonna.
Yeah.
Hopefully he will
he's
be able
taking
to.
fashion advice from you. Clearly,
Yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah.
He's doing it wrong.
Well, he's got the sizing right. That's for sure.
That's right.
Ew.
So, and I tell everybody, I say, you got to control what you can control. What can you control? You control your exercise, and you control what you eat. And those two things, guys, I know not everybody here. Not everybody listening to this is battling fucking depression, all right? The reality is we just had some rough times. We go through some shit. But I'm going to tell you, when you're going through one of those funks where you're not motivated, you're not feeling good, and you're not feeling like doing what you need to do, dude, the biggest thing you can do is to get control of your eating and your exercise. So I'm proud of you for doing it, man.
Thanks, man. No, I do feel a lot better.
Yeah? Right away, too, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I literally felt better like the next couple days.
Are you sore?
Yeah. Dude, I'm old, and I am definitely sore. But I'll tell you what, and this is an unpaid announcement. There is one product, above all, that First Form produces that I literally instantly feel better within 30 seconds of taking it.
It's got to be greens.
OptiGreens.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
OptiGreens.
It's amazing.
All right,
it
I'm
really
buying.
is. You do.
Dude, I'll hit you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, the handsome voice that you're hearing is our good friend Yahya Bakkar. He's joining us for this podcast. A guy who understands the game of public speaking better than anyone right now. You might not have heard his name and you might not know who he is yet, but he's one of the premier coaches of how to become a great speaker. And the reason I wanted to have him on is because we've never covered this topic of how important it is to develop the skill of speaking. You and I were worked out today. Yeah. We had a good workout. We talked a lot about, what it takes to become a good speaker. And, and I told you on the ride back, like I get asked that all the time. And the truth of it is like, I really don't fucking know. I don't know how I became one of the highest paid speakers out there. The truth of it is I just did it. And, but I'm excited to talk about this because I feel like to become an effective leader, you've got to be comfortable addressing groups. And you've got to be confident and you've got to portray a certain type of energy and confidence when you do that. And I'm excited to talk about that. And we'll get into that for sure. But, dude, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, dude. This guy's full of energy, man. You guys are going to love him.
You're fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
Especially around, I was telling him before we were hopping on here, but talking to teenagers is like the most difficult thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, and they if they're not interested, they show it. And
Right.
I was watching your videos, and you have a way with it, man.
Thank you, man.
Not that that's your only thing, obviously, but if you can do that, you can do anything.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So what specifically you guys talking about how you did the educational...
So I built my career for the past. I've been speaking for almost a decade professionally.
Yeah.
But I basically broke into the education market. So I mainly spoke at high schools. I mainly spoke at colleges to parents, students, teachers. But it's an interesting story because I was never like a professional speaker.
Right.
So give you some context. When I graduated high school, I wanted to become a personal trainer.
Right.
And just to let you know why that was so important for me. Backtrack till when I was 11 years old. I was walking home from school. Right across the street, there are 3 guys who look shady as fuck. One of them crosses the street and basically confronts me and says, "Yo, give me your money."
Yeah.
And I said, I don't have any money, right? And he's like, "I'm not fucking playing. Give me your money." So he takes off his belt, and with the metal part of his belt, the buckle, he went boom and knocks me out. It hits me on the left side of my face, and I'm like knocked out cold. All I remember is waking up and I see this lady. "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" I look and I see her car door open, and she just found me on the floor. She's like, "Where do you live? I'll drive you home." So I drive home. And I ring the doorbell, and my father comes down, and he looks at my face. I didn't look at my face because I was in shock at this time. But he looks at my face, and he sees like this huge welt. And he's like, "What happened?" I told him what happened. He's like, "That's it. You're going to learn how to defend yourself." So he puts me into martial arts. And for the next 4 years, from 11 to like 14 years old, I became a fucking weapon. So I learned how to fight.
Yeah.
So I earned my first degree black belt. I was a 15-time state champion in New Jersey, and then I was a 2-time junior Olympic champion. Would have been 3, but I got disqualified in Las Vegas for breaking the kid's nose for kicking me in the balls. And so, true story. And so I just became a weapon, and I kind of like abused my fucking power.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just like when I was 14 years old, I just had like a heart to heart with myself, and I just realized like I'm not a fucking fighter. Like I'm a hugger. At the end of the day, like I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna fight, I'm gonna hug you first, and then we'll hash it out.
Yeah, and then we'll hug after.
Right.
Right.
So I just said I'm done with fighting.
Yeah.
And I shifted, but here's the thing. I fucking love the discipline, the character building, the work ethic that was involved with training 7 times a week. Like that helped me grow. And so I went through like a slight like weird phase where I was like, okay, what do I do now? And then when I was 15 years old, I was like, one of my boys came up to me and was like, "Yo, you should just like get into like bodybuilding and weightlifting." So that became my addiction. Like it became like an obsession to the point where training became my therapy. Like The Rock says it was his anchor. That was my anchor.
Right.
And then fast forward to high school, I was like, I know exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm going to become a personal trainer. Now, my stepmother and my father, they're Middle Eastern parents. Okay, my stepmother raised me when I was 5 years old. And my dad is from Syria. My stepmother, she's from Iraq. And if you have Middle Eastern parents or Asian parents, the only options you have to get an education in America is either become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a doctor, or a doc. You see where I'm going, right? So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I'll become a doctor. So I got a full scholarship to ASU. And didn't like the school. I went to this hippie as fuck school in Fairfield, Iowa called Maharishi University of Management, where I learned how to like meditate twice a day. So I left my full scholarship to go to this school where I had to pay out of my pocket. So I took out a shit ton of loans. Fast forward, and I'm like meditating. I had like long ass hair. It was like down here. And I started, one semester left until I was supposed to graduate with my bachelor's degree in physiology and health. And mind you, I'm taking all my prerequisites, biology, physics, chemistry. I went to different schools. I'm about to take my MCATs and my DATs, the standard testing to become a doctor. And I just have like a moment where I'm in organic chemistry class, and it was almost as if like the volume outside of me went super low and the voice inside of my head went super loud. And it was like, yo, this is not your path. You're doing this for the acceptance and approval of your dad and your stepmom. And this was a scary moment for me because I'm an all-in fucking guy.
Yeah, and you've just dedicated fucking so much of your life.
So much of my life, so much of my time, so much of my reputation.
Bro, I think one point, I think so many people ruin their lives because when that moment comes, they ignore it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. See, this is my belief. Everybody knows what to do. They just might not have the courage to do it in that moment.
Especially in relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
dude, I think we could go down the rabbit hole with that comment right there, because I do think that the most of the dysfunctional relationships that people are completely miserable in, they're afraid to have the conversation because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. So speaking of that conversation, I listened to that and I was like, what? I literally remember it clear as day. I walk out of the classroom, and I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, very positive, but something shifted in me. I went to my dorm room, and I'm an emotional guy. Like, I started crying in fetal position in the corner of my room because, as a young kid, all you have is
that's
this.
a scary fucking moment.
Hell yeah.
You've just invested literally years of your life doing what everybody in your entire trust circle, that you fucking respect and love has told you you're doing the right thing, and all of a sudden you've realized that it isn't the right thing, dude. That's gonna crumble a lot of people temporarily. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
fuck.
And I just, I'm the type of guy. As I said, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I cannot. It's hard. It gets exhausting trying to pretend to be someone that you're not. Yeah. Right. But at this time, you guys don't know the context of the relationship with my dad. But like, my dad wasn't really in the picture. My stepmom was the one who raised me. She wasn't even my blood. My dad was like traveling all the time because he was busy. So the only way I got a sense of what I thought was like love from my father was winning his acceptance and approval through what I did career-wise. Right, he wanted me to become a doctor. He wanted to be proud of me. Yeah,
that good job. That becomes the whole relationship.
Yeah, and that's what scared me the most. So I remember going to my guidance counselor. I said, "Listen, I know this is going to be crazy, but I think I'm withdrawing from all my classes. I'm dropping out." She's like, "What do you mean? You have 3 months left. You're going to get a bachelor's degree. Just finish what you started." I was like, "My gut is telling me I shouldn't be here." And she's like, "This is a stupid decision. No offense." I was like, "I know, but this is it." She's like, "What are you going to do next?" I say, "I have no idea." She thought I was a dumbass. Everybody thought I was a dumbass. I leave the school, leave Iowa, and then I go back to New Jersey where my dad was staying. And I remember I'm the oldest of 7 brothers and sisters. So I knock on the door, and my youngest brother, he was 5 years old at the time. He looks like Theodore from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Super fucking cute. Eats like him too. And then I go in and I tell my dad the news. My dad is fucking pissed. Like, talk about disappointment. Yeah. He was just like, "You're stupid. What are you doing?" I was like, "I got to follow my heart." He's like, "What is this stupid heart talk? Like, what is this heart talk?" I was like, "I don't know." Long story short, we have a falling out. I'm not allowed to stay in the house anymore. One of my buddies who comes from an Italian, like traditional Italian family, like they grew up in Naples. He hears about my situation. He invites me to stay into his home. Problem was, it wasn't his home. It was his family's house. So I go into his home, and his mom is like in the kitchen making like whatever, pasta or whatever. And then he's like, "Ma, Yahya's going to stay with us until he can get himself together." Mind you, this is 2011, beginning of 2011. And his mom starts flipping out. She's like, "Oh, Michael, we just get the pasta." That's all I got was pasta, the whole thing. And then he's like, "Ma, if Yahya doesn't stay in the house, I'm not living in the house anymore. And she just buys in, and she's like, okay. So I go into Mike's room. He doesn't have an actual frame in the mattress. It's just like a mattress on the floor. I'm laying down, staring up the ceiling, and I'm thinking to myself, kid you not, I'm such a fucking dumbass. Let me just go back, finish what I started. This whole thing could be over. Right? This is about a month's time has passed since I dropped out. So that was December of 2010. It's beginning of January 2011 now. And my buddy lays down right next to me on the mattress. It was awkward at first. But he looks at me and he's like, yo, been thinking about you. I think you should become like a motivational speaker and life coach for young people. And I look at him. I'm like, bro, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard come out of your mouth. And the truth, here's the thing. The reason why it was dumb is because who's going to listen to a 22-year-old college dropout give life advice? I wouldn't listen to myself. And then he comes back. He's like, bro, I've known you for over 10 years. If there's anything I know about you is that, number one, you got a big-ass mouth and you're positive. Use it to your advantage. If there are people out there right now, just do some research and see who's doing it. And I was like, he has a point. Slept on it, went on Google, and I typed in motivational speaking and life coaching for young people. And after some research, I find 2 programs. One was mainly called Youth Speaker University by a guy named Josh Shipp. He was built a career in the education market. And another guy's name's Tony Robbins. He's the co-founder of Robbins Madonna's Training, which helps people intervene when it comes to suicide, depression, giving you the skills to really change people's lives and not just talk about it. So I look at both of the programs. It was a total of $9,000. Now, come from my perspective for just a moment. It's $9,000 for both the programs combined. I have $50,000 of debt. I have no degree. I got no job. Only have $47 in my checking account. No savings, nothing. $47 total. And I'm staying at my friend's house. Not even his house, his parents' house, right? And I got, you talk about this a lot. I've been hearing some of the stuff you've been saying, the zero option mentality.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Right? So I'm at this point where I feel like, boom, I just hit rock bottom. And I'm like, I don't have the money to do this shit. If I'm going to make this happen, what am I going to do? So I look at Tony Robbins. At this time, I didn't know who Tony Robbins was, really. So I'm doing my research. And I see a video on YouTube talk about resources versus resourcefulness. And he just basically says, it doesn't matter whether you have the money or not. It's what are you willing to fucking do to burn your boats and take the fucking island? So I was like, this is a good point. If I'm at rock bottom, the only direction I got to go is up. So I kid you not, I start calling everybody who knows me. I start calling them. It's like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about becoming a motivational speaker and life coach, and I want to change people's lives. I know we haven't talked to each other in 20 years, but I need $9,000. Everybody hangs up. This is where I start cold calling, right? This is where I learned sales. Everybody starts fucking hanging up, and then 2 people out of the hundreds of people I called said, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna take a stab at you. And I get $4,000 from them, and then I get a job as a part-time waiter, and then I got a job as a part-time chiropractor's assistant because I understand physiology and health very well. So I took all that money, and then I invested it in both of the programs. Everybody at this time, they're saying, no, get a more secure job.
Of
you
course.
should get and I was like, nope, I'm going all in. I'm betting on myself. And I did that, and within 1 year, in 2012, I won Student of the Year at Youth Speaker University. I ended up going from no speaking experience to over 40 speaking engagements within that 1 year, and these were all paid. And I basically became Dean of Students for Youth Speaker University, teaching other aspiring speakers how to become paid speakers. And then after that, I was one of the youngest graduates in Tony Robbins' program. And so I took all that, and then I've just built an empire within the education market for over 8 years. And that's where I started. So when Vaughn was talking about you speaking to teenagers, I mastered the craft of really cutting through the noise and speaking to the heart of youth, and it's a heart, teenagers are tough to speak to.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because I know how I deal with them. How do you deal with their lack of attention? Because that's when I talk to other speakers, this is just a side comment. But I'm just curious.
Yeah.
When I talk to other speakers, because my buddies who also speak, they're like, fuck, dude, I like talking to people at corporate events and stuff. But when I go talk to kids, it's I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Because they're all looking at their phones and their shoes and this and that. How do you deal with that?
So story.
Because dude, I want to say how I deal with it after you do.
So here it is. Like when it comes to influence, the power of storytelling is going to be the fastest way to cut through the noise, right? So here's the thing: what I love about teens right now, they have a great BS detector. So you'll see, especially if you talk to a tough crowd, there are people in the audience who are legit crossing their hands.
Yeah.
The moment I share a story and I come from my experience, right? All of a sudden you see them like loosening up because they feel like I'm not talking down to them. I'm sharing my experience with them. And one thing that I say is I just tell them, I was like, listen, I'm not here to tell you guys what to do. It's not me. That's not my style. That's none of my business. I'm here to share my experiences. If what I say hits home, take it. If it doesn't, throw it out.
Dude, I think that's such a good point too, and a valuable point, because I feel like the guys who are asking me about this, they speak from a pedestal, right? So they put themselves on this fucking pedestal, and I honestly think this is what hurts them as speakers. Everywhere. Is they put themselves somewhere. And it's like they're talking down to the fucking peasants.
Right.
And it's like, dude, I was telling you, like Tyler, our last event that we did, people went literally fucking insane. For me. And like, I was like standing there like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is weird.
Are these paid actors all fucking
dude, it was so fucking weird. Like, we left the event and we all looked, it was me, him, and our buddy Dan Fleischman, and we all looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? But you know why I get that response? Because I know I'm not any better than anybody there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I go talk to a group of high school kids, I know there's probably fucking, dude, every kid in that audience has the potential to be way better than I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't forget that. And I think that's where, like, these dudes who are asking, like, they roll in with these fucking suits on, and they just don't connect.
Exactly. And that was the key word right there, because most people think that what's going to win the audience is content. I mean, we hear in the entrepreneurial space, content is king, but I would argue with that, because I would say,
no, dude, it's
connection.
authenticity, connection.
Right. Connection. If you lead with connection first and that becomes your priority, then they'll be able to digest it.
They have to be able to see themselves in you.
Bingo.
They have to be able to look at you and say, fuck, dude, that guy is no different than me.
And that's why That's why you had the effect that you did, because celebrities, I see you as a celebrity. When you have a celebrity effect, regardless of what platform you have, what you're doing in that moment is, what you're saying is that you have social currency. You've added some value by connecting with them. They feel like they know you, and that's why they come up. They could give two shits about what you're saying on stage. They just feel like you've added so much value to them, and they feel drawn to you. You see, that's
dude,
what you did right.
You have to put, you have to be able to put yourself. And dude, you have to remember that you, at one point in time, whether you're a quote unquote regular person or not, and people don't see you, these guys who, they're making millions of dollars a year, they don't see them as regular people, right? But you have to remember that, dude, you were just like them at one point in your life. And you have to be able to connect those dots. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you guys are basically talking about empathy, the idea that they can identify with you. But the other side of that is authority. And I think, when you were mentioning, when you were first getting into the business, you were looking at these different courses. Andy and I talk all the time about all the, totally inauthentic,
we talked
worthless.
about that today at the gym.
Right.
Like right now, become an entrepreneur is as simple as put fucking entrepreneur in your IG status.
Right. And we do make fun of a lot of the whole concept of life coach. But the reason we make fun of it is because 90% of the people out there doing it haven't actually experienced anything. But I thought it was interesting because obviously what led you to those two courses was that you did your research and you saw, okay, these people have actually done what I want to do.
Look, dude, there's a difference between someone who fucking becomes a student of success and goes out and takes it serious versus some motherfucker that's trying to sell you some bullshit Bitcoin course on the fucking internet or whatever.
And they have no experience or expertise coming from
it. And one of the courses that you looked into was Tony Robbins.
Which is what's being advocated by a lot of the quote unquote authorities of entrepreneurship.
Right.
Which is fucked up. Like, what's being sold to these kids is, hey, buy my course, I'll teach you how to make courses, and you go sell them. Like, dude,
even though I have no experience ever.
Right. But the flip side of
and like, all right.
Just trying to make the point is that, yes, they saw themselves in you, the authority side, the empathy side. But the flip side of that, and this is what makes people go crazy about Andy and yourself, is that you do have authority.
Right.
They see you, they see themselves in you. You are speaking from your own experience, but at the same time, you're also doing what they're wanting to do.
It's like these kids that go out and they get college degrees, right? And then they go apply for a job, and the job says you need 3 years experience. And they say, well, how the fuck am I supposed to get experience if I can't get the job? You're like, okay, at some point, eventually, you've got to make yourself the fucking authority.
Right.
100%.
And you've got to decide, like, dude, and this is where the confidence aspects that we talk about come in. No one is ever going to, like, dude, no one ever came to me and said, hey, Andy, you know what? I think you're qualified to fucking charge 75 grand an hour to speak.
Yeah.
No one ever said that.
Yeah.
You know what I said? I told you this on the ride today. I said, he goes, dude, he's like, what are you getting now? And I told, he's like, what are you getting? 70, 75? I'm like, yeah, that's what I get. And he's like, well, how'd you get to that? And I said, well, the truth is I just kept raising my price till I got the amount of speaking engagements that I wanted. Because I didn't want to do them every week.
Right.
Like, so the guys that want to fucking buck up, I'll go do them.
Yeah.
But, and that's, no one gave me, Tony Robbins didn't come and say, hey, Andy, you know what?
Yeah, you have permission.
I think you're pretty good at speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You have to give yourself that permission.
100%. 100%. But
Yahya,
to your point,
before you move on with all the insight about the speaking, I got to circle back, because when you made the decision, your dad got pissed at you.
Yeah.
Things basically fell apart.
Yeah.
Isn't it at that point where so many people go, oh, I must have made the wrong decision because everything's falling apart. Talk about that.
And everyone I trust and love and have looked up to my whole life is saying I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They take chaos as an indication that they did something bad.
And dude, you know what though? There's a fine line there, because you know what? Sometimes that is a fucking sign you did something wrong.
Yeah.
You've got to step back, dude, and look at it and say, okay. Yeah. Like, how did you do that?
You just have to know yourself, right? You have to know your intent. The way that I see it is like, I take the gold and I throw out the dirt with everybody, all points of views. I welcome them. And then what I do in my mind is I filter out and I say, what feels truth for me? Like, what feels truthful for me in this moment?
Right.
And then I make a decision from there. I don't take somebody's opinion because
that's an intelligent person's point of view.
Yeah.
I do the same exact thing in literally every fucking area. Yeah. I will not, like let's say somebody starts talking about something that generally I don't agree with. Like, I'm not a bleeding heart liberal when it comes to politics. That doesn't mean that I won't sit there and listen to someone's point 100%. Of view and say, okay, you know what? They said 5 things. 3 of them I think are shit. But the 2 points they made, I can see why they think the way they think.
100%.
And dude, you know what? That's the way you grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that saying, dude. I take the gold and throw out the dirt. I never heard that before, but I like it.
I love the saying. This is my saying. I didn't come up with it. I
think
Mark Twain came up with it.
I think your saying is, keep the corn and throw out the poop. That's your saying?
No. My saying is, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Oh, I like that.
You know?
I like
that.
Dude,
look, man, you can learn from anybody.
Absolutely.
100%.
But sorry to interrupt. I just love that saying.
Yeah. To close the loop there are 2 parts, right? What you're talking about the authority and the authenticity is being a credible celebrity, not just a celebrity who wants the fame and the followers and all that kind of stuff and just connect with people.
Dude, doesn't that come down to intent though? Like you said, people, like teenagers have a very fine-tuned bullshit detector, and I agree.
Yeah.
Dude, people just know intent. Like, if you're like, dude, I've been in speaking engagements where literally every motherfucker up there is trying to sell shit.
Right.
And then I just go in there and fucking try to over-deliver.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
They know your intent, and they're going to support you when your intent is genuine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, if your intent is genuine and you really intend to help people and provide value and teach them, oh, and by the way you sell shit, guess what happens? They support you by buying your shit.
Right.
But when your intent is to stand up in front of people and sell them a bunch of shit, you're going to run out of speaking gigs.
100%.
You know?
Because you're using your platform for a form of validation versus adding value.
Right.
So what did you mean by, you said credible celebrity?
The credible celebrity. So the way that I see like Andy is a great example of being a credible celebrity. So when it comes to the speaking business, there are 2 ways really to make this super fucking simple. There are 2 ways you can build it. You can become the flower or you can become the bee. Okay, the bee has to go to multiple different flowers to collect nectar and then take it to its beehive. The flower, all it has to do is produce the nectar, produce the pollen, and it attracts the bees to it. Now, the way that you create the flower is you either have an amazing business that generates cash flow, or you have an awesome offer that you can provide to your audience, which you have a headquarters here. This is one of your flowers, or you build a celebrity personal brand, which you have done. So now you're in a position of a flower. The way that I built my business initially, which is why I've pivoted completely, is I was a bee. Meaning, the only way that I was getting paid to speak was I was trading my time for money. And that was a wrong business model, meaning that it was just a high-paying manual labor job. It was cool. I was getting paid.
You're trading your time for money.
Right.
It's just like, it's like any artist, it's like any tattoo artist or any of these, like, dude, it's a tough transition.
Yeah.
To go to where you could scale your income.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm a big advocate about, like, instead of saying, like, if somebody comes up to me, he's like, yo, I want to become a speaker, right? I pull back because that's what they want. But I was like, okay, what do you really want? What is really driving that? Do you want to make the impact? Do you want to leave a legacy?
Do you want to get money? Do you want fame?
Right.
What do you want?
Right. And then I reverse engineer and say, okay, so based on what you're saying here and based on your personality type and based on your big vision, here's the best business model. All right, maybe you can still create an impact on social media, because speaking and social media, they're just vehicles, they're phenomenal tools, not only to market your message, but to really like drive the impact. So now we live in a day and age, especially with social media, the way that I've seen you do it is where you can make that impact, build that influence, and generate that income without necessarily traveling, becoming the busy bee, going to multiple different places. And you can be selective with the stages that you want to get on. So I always encourage people, like, okay, a stage today is not just you being on actual physical stage. This podcast is a stage. Right? This is a platform. This is a flower. And you can be very, very intentional about how you share your message and how you market it. So like that's kind of like what I mean by building that business, the business side of it. So so when it comes to the speaking, you have the art of speaking and storytelling, which is one skill, and then you have the business side of speaking, which is another skill. So I think for anybody, whether, you know, if they want to get paid to speak, the number one thing that they have to understand, especially in the speaking industry, is that your target audience and your target buyer are two completely different people. Meaning, and we've talked about this when we're working out in the gym, meaning like you can be speaking to like teens, like in my case, or you can be speaking to real estate professionals. You can be speaking, that's your audience, right? But who at the end of the day is giving you the paycheck?
That's right.
Bingo. And that's your target buyer. Most speakers, amateur speakers, not world-class speakers, but most speakers, what they do is they create all their content to just speak to their audience. The only time this works and the only time this would be beneficial to your business is if you do what you did, which is you build a very influential personal brand. Where now you have a raving fan base that says, you gotta get, they'll influence the decision maker. You gotta get this guy.
The reason people pay me what I pay is because they announce the event and the event sells out. They get fucking paid back. So in the speaking business, there are three types of high paying speakers. You got the first type where they're content speakers. They're only known for their specific topic, right? Maybe bullying, maybe real estate, maybe whatever that niche is, that topic that they want to talk about. And eventually they exhaust it. Because they go out and they speak on every fucking show, on every fucking podcast, and guess what? After a year of that, everybody's heard it. And to be honest, those are the lowest paid speakers out of the three that I'm about to share, It's cool, but you can easily become a commodity there. There's no pull. It's like, oh, we want somebody to talk about bullying. Okay, you can't make it, so we'll find somebody else who's more affordable. You don't never want to position yourself that way in the marketplace. Then you got the keynote speakers. The keynote speakers usually have some form of like influential personal brand, like a celebrity status. They have a draw, or they were like me. Nobody fucking knew me, but when I get up on the stage, I fucking rock it. I have the energy. So they're like opening or closing speakers. Like you can use that. These are usually speakers who get paid anywhere between, depending on the market. Let's say if you're in the education market, it could be anywhere $2,500 to the corporate market or the entrepreneurial space to $100,000, So this is what most people do. But the highest paid speakers, in my opinion, are the closers. The closers are the people who actually see the stage as the beginning of their impact. Meaning they have something of value to share and provide after they rock the stage, So someone like you, you get up on stage, whether they know you or they don't, they fall in love with you. I know, dude, I know when I speak that I'm going to convert I'm not going to sell them anything today,
Right.
but I'm going to convert at least 60% of the room into fans of me.
Bingo.
And I know that.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not depending on this speaking as your
pay
main
my
form of
bill.
income.
Right, yeah.
Bingo. So that puts you in a position of leverage and power. That puts you in a position of the flower.
There's no desperation.
Right.
If you don't fucking like me, then there's the fucking door.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
So to
Yeah.
your point, Yahya, a couple days ago, I had this kind of casual conversation with somebody who was saying, like, seriously, how many people listen to your podcast? And I just said, dude, millions. And he goes, well, how do I create a podcast like that? And I told him a story about 3 years ago when we were sitting around talking. And I said, you know what? I said to Andy, dude, you have such incredible things to say. Start a podcast. Not the other way around, which is what I think most...
That is not even the fucking truth.
Well, why don't I hold it?
Listen, you're trying to take credit for the fucking pot. Get the fuck out of here. This is how it really happened, everybody. Just so you know. Because we got Casual Vaughn over there getting a little too casual.
All right, but don't mess up my point, because it's a good point.
All right, I'll let you make the point. But how it really happened, this will go along with your point. Do you know how it really happened?
Well, you asked me to start making videos of your guys' meetings.
We were doing an audio interview for a book.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tyler started making 15-second clips for Instagram. And I started posting the Instagram clips.
And is this a podcast?
And people would be like, dude, where can I listen to this podcast? Fuck, that's awesome. Where can I listen to this podcast? And I would write back, literally, this is how stupid I am, by the way. I'm so fucking, you guys all think I'm smart. I'm not. I'm an idiot. Literally for like fucking months, I wrote back to it's not a podcast, we're writing a book, because I thought podcasts were stupid.
Right.
And I thought a book was like prestigious, so I wanted to brag about my book.
Right.
Eventually, after like 3 months of this shit, we sat down, and then Vaughn might have said,
well, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how it really
and
went.
Actually, in fairness, I think I said you should start a podcast.
Right.
And then I said, Vaughn, you're such an awesome dude. We should do the podcast together.
True, but the point being,
I love it.
The point
you're
being,
so handsome. We got to put you on the radio.
Exactly. Exactly. Got a face for radio. The point being is that so many people say, I want to start a podcast. Now I got to figure out what to talk about.
No, dude, because they want the fucking end result.
Right, right. Instead of saying, I have something really incredible to share.
That's what I'm talking about with intent.
I'm going to share a podcast.
That's what I'm talking about with intent.
Yeah.
People, you can tell when you listen to someone's shit whether they are actually trying to help people or they're just trying to glorify themselves.
Right.
You could fucking tell. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
And that's why you have all these other podcasts starting up. Like, dude, Gary's telling everybody, go deep on podcasts. Bro, Gary, I love you, but not everybody should have a fucking podcast.
Right. That's a really good point.
You know?
That's a really good point. And I think what most people mistake is they don't see these as vehicles to accelerate a message. Right? It's almost as if they're seen as like, oh, that's the thing that's going to get me here.
Right.
When I'm like,
it's
no,
the
no,
cool
no.
thing right now.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a tool. Like, what is the big picture at the end of the day? Then reverse engineering. So many people, like, they just jump in whatever is hot and they don't want to, they don't want to miss.
It comes down to instant gratification mentality.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is so fucking hot. Dude, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this.
Yeah.
And dude, then everybody's jumping in it without even thinking. And, you can't win like that because the motherfuckers you're competing against are going in with a fucking mission. And by the way, they're practicing it every day. And by the way, they're fucking smart. And by the way, they have resources and experience and network. And like, dude, you're going to compete because you decided to start it when you drank 6 beers on the boat at fucking Memorial Day. You're going to get fucking killed.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree.
Okay. Now, I do agree that everybody has skills and probably things they can offer. And if you're 19 years old or you're 18 years old or you're 20 years old and you're listening to this and you want skills, go out for the next 10 years and do some shit.
100%. You want to build your character, you want to build your competency. That's what will give you the confidence, and then you can focus on celebrity.
Yeah.
Right? And
because, dude, at 30 years old, you're still young as fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
For real.
Yeah, I know. So,
Yeah.
but that's a really, really good point, because what I feel for a lot of people is they put the cart before the horse.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's like,
I want to give a message before I've learned anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And for me, if you look at it like, like how does a 22-year-old college dropout?
Yeah, but you went out and got fucking resources from people who are experts. That's a different thing.
Yes, yes. And I will say this. There's a way, as a speaker, there's a way that you can get paid to share your experience or story.
Yeah.
But
dude, let's say somebody like has a very unique experience.
Right.
Like for example, like the girl who got her arm bit off that was a surfer. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, and she goes out and tells her story about overcoming and this.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a fucking amazing story, and people are going to pay to listen to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's also that time too,
There's
right?
education, there's entertainment, you know, like that people will pay for that. Look at comedians, like the value that they provide is laughter, is joy, it's all that kind of stuff. There's a way that you can do that, but this is what I always tell my clients. Some people that just say, "Oh, I just want to share my story for the sake of." I'm like, nah. You see, you're leading with validation.
Yeah,
you're looking for the acceptance, approval, and applause.
Right.
That's what you really want. Yeah. Your story should always be in service to your audience. Yes. Period. Point blank.
Yes.
That's always, and that's what most people do. So they get up on stage and they're like, "Well, you know, I did this and I did that."
Dude, listen.
Start
it's
with
like listening to Steve Young on the fucking NFL Network, motherfucker. all he ever says, Steve Young, you're the worst fucking announcer ever.
Right.
Okay, great player. I was a fan. You need to quit talking about yourself.
Right.
All he ever fucking says, and pay attention if you watch NFL. Back when I played, that's what he leads with every fucking time. Yeah. Motherfucker, we don't give a fuck about when you played. We care about the fucking game going on.
Right. He's the Bill Walton of the NFL.
Dude, he's the worst. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, because Bill Walton does it in the NBA.
Back when I played, no one gives a fuck, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
You're fucking...
Boomer Esiason used to be really bad about that and then fixed it.
But dude,
by the way,
when you're trying to validate yourself with your message or relate everything to yourself, you might think that no one notices.
Yeah.
Bro, everybody notices.
100%.
And it's the most annoying thing you could do as a speaker.
100%. So here's something of value, that's tangible value, that everybody who's listening can actually walk away with. So let's say they bought into, they're like, okay, cool. Don't use my story for validation. Use my story in service to my audience to add value. Well, how do I do that, Yahya? This is something that I created called a story proof framework. Anytime you get on video, anytime you get on stage, anytime you're speaking to people, here it is. I call it it's like the 5 Ps. Person, problem, perspective, process, and promise. So, number one, you need to understand who's the person that you're speaking to. When people get up on stage or they get on video, they think they're speaking to all these, you know, if you're speaking to an audience of 10,000 people, no, you're not speaking to 10,000 people. You're speaking to that one person in the audience that needs to hear your message. Get really clear on who that person is, because the more personal your message becomes, the more universal and polarizing it will be.
And not only that, dude, let me add to that, because that's such a great fucking point. That's the exact way that you keep your message from becoming vanilla, that nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay? Like when I get on stage, when I spoke at 10X in front of 10,000 motherfuckers, I'm thinking about the 2 or 3 that are going to take my shit and go make millions of dollars.
And that's what makes you amazing.
And the rest of them can fuck off.
Yes.
And that's it.
But look at the position of value that he comes from. It's not validation. It's not like, oh, but I want everybody to like me.
That's how I keep the message pure.
Yeah.
And dude, what the paradox to that whole thing is that everybody else looks at it and they're like, holy fuck, this guy doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
I love him.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what makes you an authentic, very charismatic character, right? That you've drawn. You're a leader in that way. So once you get clear with the person, the second piece.
Dude, that is such a fucking valuable point as a speaker, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if you just learn that listening to this,
100%.
you figured it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And take that principle in anything, in your copywriting, in your business.
Oh, dude. In your branding.
Right.
Every fucking thing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Fuck yeah.
Then the second thing, once you know who that person is, so let's say, for example, if you're getting on a video, right? Before when I get on video or on camera, I don't know what your technique is, but I picture my person. Like, I know my person is Steven Angelo, right? He's 24 years old.
I don't do that, but I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, but I'm speaking to you, Steven, right now. And that's why my message, you'll find the most influential speakers, whether they realize it or not, if they're unconsciously competent, they're speaking to that one audience. When you look at powerful influencers, Bill Clinton, when he used to be speaking, people felt in the audience like they were speaking directly, he was speaking directly to them.
I feel your pain.
That's exactly.
People used to mock it, but it's why you won re-election.
Right.
Hey, look, dude. Right. Look, here's the deal. When you do what you're saying right now and you connect with that one person, you're unintentionally connecting with everybody.
Yeah.
Because dude, and people will message you. I guarantee you get, because I get tons of messages say this, and I guarantee you do too. dude, I feel like you're speaking right to me.
100%.
Yeah, that's how you know when you're doing it.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
And if you get that on stage too, because people get lost on social media. Remember, stage or social media, they're the same thing, online or offline. They're the same vehicles.
Dude, you know what's funny is the way that I connect with everybody else. I do exactly what you said. I just said I didn't do it, but I do actually do it. But I do it differently than what you're saying.
Yeah.
The way I do it is this. I fucking talk to myself.
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself.
That's your avatar.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm talking to the fucking pussy Andy that lives on the inside of me that's being a bitch.
Yeah.
And dude, and people hear that
and
they think I'm talking to them, but what's funny is I'm actually talking to that part of myself that wants to quit and wants to be a pussy and wants to stop and is bitching about how hard it is and all these other things.
Yeah.
You know, so I do that, but I actually do it differently than you.
I love that. For most people, especially when it comes to like the entrepreneur world, or in like the information space, their ideal clients or the person is a younger version of themselves. That's for most people.
Yeah,
because
dude,
our deepest
for sure.
wounds can also often be our truest niche.
Yeah.
Right? Like our deep pain can turn into our purpose. Right? So it's like, but once you get clear on that person, I don't want to leave everybody hanging because I did say 5.
Yeah.
The second is the problem.
Yeah.
What is the big problem that you're helping that person solve? And so you're leading with you. You're probably struggling with this. You feel like this. You probably feel all alone. You're depressed. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. Once you earn and you enter the conversation in their minds, this is the effect where it's like, holy shit, he's speaking to me. After you understand what that big problem is, the second P, you go into the third P, which is the perspective. This is where you share your story in service to your person. This is where you can speak, or whether it's your story or somebody else's story that you really care about, but this is where you share your worldview. When I was this, listen, I get you, because when I was this is what happened to me. Most people, the amateur mistake is they start with a perspective first. And depending on the audience, sometimes it could change. Like if you're speaking with a younger crowd, sometimes you want to lead with perspective because they got their guard up. You know, they didn't want you to tell them, like, you know
they're automatically thinking, this motherfucker is not like me, he doesn't get it.
Bingo.
Right.
And so you have to really know your audience.
Right.
Again, who is the person you're speaking to. Once you share your perspective, you're in this position, you're not the fucking hero. You're not talking about yourself in a position where it's like, oh, look at me, I'm in the spotlight. No, you're shining a spotlight to them and you're saying, you're the hero, I'm here to serve you, I'm just a guy.
I'm no different than you.
Right.
Exactly.
And I get it, and here's how I can support you. Then once you share the perspective,
what people don't understand when they go on stage and they try to paint themselves as a hero is the fact that you're on the fucking stage automatically places you in that spot in their mind.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fucking beat that into their brain.
Yep.
So the valuable thing to do is to take the hero crown or whatever they're putting on you and take it off and throw it to the side and say, hey, I ain't shit.
Yes.
You're the shit.
Yes, 100%. 100%. So then once you share your perspective and you've connected with them, so if you notice person, problem, perspective, that's all connection. That's story, that's heart-based, right? Then you could get into the head and then share the process. P, right? What is your plan? What is your program? What is the thing that actually got you to where you are today? This is where you can go ham on the content. All right. Most people, they're trying to sell the content. They're trying to sell the program before they even bought in. Before they feel emotionally connected. This is the difference between emotions and logic. If you start with logic first, you start with content, you're going to disconnect. But if you start with the emotion and shit, this is the purpose of all storytelling is to elicit emotions. Once you do that, then you can share your process. And after you share your process or your plan or your program, then the final P is the promise. What are you promising them? Where's their promised land? Where do they want to go? The most charismatic, influential, powerful, attractive, and authentic leaders, they all understand this intuitively. That's how they build a movement around their message.
Dude, I was going to say, dude, like all this stuff you're saying, although I consciously don't plan it out, I do it anyway.
Yeah, I know.
It's instinctive to me.
You're unconsciously competent.
Yeah.
Most influencers at a high level, that's what they're doing.
But can I make a point?
Yes.
I think that stuff only automatically flows naturally when you have the right intent. When you have the right intent, you will care about the person.
I think you're right, but I also think that it's the intent and the confidence that you have from actually experiencing life and whatever it is you're talking about.
Right.
And when you take the intent and you take real experience and you put it together, that's what's going to intuitively create what you're trying to do, and the absence of desperation that this is your only income source.
Yeah, 100%. If there's one thing that you'll take away from this entire episode is don't use your audience as a form of validation or applause. You serve your audience from a place of value.
What's funny and dude, when you serve an audience and they know that the intent is the correct, they want to support you.
Yeah.
Out of obligation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like that way, that's why whenever I tell people like these terms like prospecting and closing and hard closing and this and that, dude, if you just lead with the right intent, you don't have to worry about none of that shit.
Because they already know, like, and trust you by that point.
And they want to support you.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that why at the end of the day, likes are not always and probably never a good indicator of the quality of content? Because you could have something that had like 1 billion likes, but really it just people liked it because it on some level it connected with them on a shallow level.
Yeah.
But you could have something that had like 7 likes, but one of those likes was a person who read it and said, "I'm not going to kill myself."
Right? No,
dude,
you know
what I'm saying?
Look, that's such an amazing point, and I want to say something about that because we see so many people posting this motivational shit on the internet, which, dude, look, a lot of people say my shit's motivational. I'm not really trying to be motivational. I just deliver it in a motivational way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you a fucking story that can help you. Right. All right. And I spoke with Tom Bailu out at in California, I don't know, a few months ago, which, by the way, fucking dude is the most underrated speaker out there right now in the game, in my opinion. Wow. Amazing dude. Wasn't he awesome?
No, he was
a
great speaker.
Like, dude,
very eloquent with his words.
No, dude, he's good.
Yeah.
He doesn't get enough credit for his speaking ability because he runs an interview show,
right?
And people don't hear him speak.
Yeah.
But when you do, you're like, fuck, this dude's smart.
And like Tyler and I get to travel around and see everybody speaking, and I don't really like to be like, you guys know, I have major disrespect for most speakers. I think they fucking suck.
Yeah.
But
no, we're like cringing most of the time at like 10X.
Because it's like, dude, how the fuck is this guy even a speaker?
Yeah. What do you feel is like the biggest mistake that they all have in common?
They're self-serving.
Yeah.
Dude, it's intent.
Yeah.
You know, they go up there and they're worried about their clothes before they're worried about delivering something that's going to impact. And with their clothes being their product or whatever it is they're selling. Yeah. And it's not focused on the audience. Yeah. And I think the other mistake that people make too is they think that, I see that a lot of people. So for example, like when I go up and speak, it's going to appear like I did not prepare at all.
Yeah.
That's prepared. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Like, but I see people go up and try to replicate those kind of conversations, like when they see Gary speak or they see me speak.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they run up there with no prep at all.
Yeah.
And then they fucking get killed.
If you use your talent or charisma as a crutch,
oh, dude,
that's what makes you an amateur.
They think it's going to carry you.
Yeah.
And dude, charisma does not translate. Charisma in a group of this, like us four sitting here, does not translate to a fucking stage in front of 10,000 people.
100%.
It does not translate.
Yeah.
You
need to prepare to protect your audience's time and attention.
Absolutely.
Because that's when you respect them.
But dude, and that's the point. That comes down to intent.
Yeah.
Like, what's your intent? Is your intent to go up there and look cool, or is your intent to deliver so much fucking value that they walk away saying, holy shit, dude, when I go speak, I literally want to embarrass every other speaker. Like, if you're a speaker out there and you listen to my podcast, you do not want to speak with me because I want to fucking embarrass you. That's how I look at it.
I love it.
I want people to walk away and say, holy fuck, dude, there was everybody else and then there was Andy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's what I want.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And I know that's going to come down to me teaching these motherfuckers some shit that they can walk away with and make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Instead of me going up there and trying to sell. And see, that's what these motherfuckers don't get too, dude, is they're up there and they're like, oh yeah, for right now, you could buy my shit for this, and for normally it's $25,000. Today it's fucking $25. All right. First of all, nobody believes that shit. Second of all, if you would just go up and teach your shit, people will buy your shit on your own.
Yeah.
And they don't get that.
Yeah.
You know, like, dude, and that's why I told you I turned down a lot of events. Yeah. The reason I turned down a lot of events is because I can't stand how salesy some of these fuckers are, and I don't want to be associated with it.
Yeah, but I think, so you usually speak at the end of a lot of these events, and I
Well,
think
now I do.
I think one of the biggest reasons that, they appreciate his.
You know why they
so
put me at
much
the
more.
end? Because none of the motherfuckers want to speak after me.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Well, it's true. It's true, but that's also why the crowd, reacts like they do, because they just got sold fucking 20 times in a row, and they got all these inauthentic people up there on stage, and then Andy comes up there authentic.
Teaches them real shit.
Teaching them real shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, fuck, I'm motivated.
Yeah, well, fuck, dude. Yeah. When I went to Bedros shit, I taught them, dude, I taught those people stuff that I really should charge like fucking $100,000 to teach them.
Yeah.
To each one, not for the day. Like, each person should be paying me.
I would like to add a different perspective here when it comes to selling, because for me, real selling is all about serving. Right. No,
dude. I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah. But there are some people, and you bring it back to intent. I do want to say that I don't want people to feel ashamed for really offering something at the end of their presentation if it can actually add value to them.
No, they shouldn't feel ashamed.
Right.
But the reason that you shouldn't feel ashamed is because you're 30 to 50 minutes or an hour in front of these people should have just basically delivered enough for them to walk away and say, fuck, dude, I don't need the program. But you know what? I learned so much from this guy that I want to buy whatever else he's got.
Bingo. And that's the thing. Like I usually talk about the Oprah effect with my clients. And I say, let's say, for example, you're a fucking phenomenal speaker. Right, like you're an amazing. This is what, again, how can you position yourself as a flower where you can attract people to come to you? Let's say you're a phenomenal speaker, and Oprah is like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. This girl is amazing. You have your 15 minutes of fame on Oprah, right? If they fall in love with you, how can they add more value outside the Oprah? Because you're just there for one time in those 15 minutes, right? So it's like, this is where I believe it is your duty to add something. To add value so they can come to your flower, whether that's an offer, whether that's your social media platform, whether that's whatever. Right. But that's what needs to happen is as long as you have that in your business model. And the thing with you, this is what I've noticed, but studying most of the speakers out there, and some people are just content speakers. Some people are keynote speakers.
I love it. See, you're a student of actual speakers. Yeah. Like I'm a student of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I study because I'm not just a skill, because that's the speaking skill. Like that's one thing that will always be developed over time, but the business, the positioning, how do they really position themselves? I remember Rutgers University, they were looking for a keynote speaker, and true story, they were thinking about, it was between Snooki from Jersey Shore or a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and they chose Snooki, and they paid her $30,000 more. Now, that was a fucking pivotal moment for me as a student in the speaking game. Why? Because I learned, regardless of our judgment here, forget the judgment.
Right.
The audience, people value celebrity more than they value the credibility at this point. So it's all positioning. It's marketing.
Yeah, no shit.
So I'm like, whoa, okay, cool. Like that's what they.
Well, that actually explains a whole lot then.
Yeah,
sure does.
Because never mind. I'm not even gonna get into it.
I actually.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah. So it's like, this is, and here's the thing, celebrity, if you position yourself as a celebrity speaker, you build that flower. All that means to me is you've added enough value to buy people's attention. You've added enough value into the world that people see, know, like, and trust you. Say, like, I'll choose this person over that. How I build, and I want people to learn from my mistakes. I don't want you to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, 8 years of your time. Just like, if you're going to do this and you want to become a speaker, do this shit right.
Yeah.
Right? Have an offer, build a platform, do it right. Make sure you could monetize your expertise. The truth is, someone like Gary Vee, someone like you, Andy, the reason why you can position yourself as a celebrity and charge what you could charge is because you've already solved the cash flow problem. You already have a business behind the scenes, whether it's in the information space or outside. You're running a business, right? So you have the positioning, the leverage to say, hey, I don't need your fucking money. So the business model is on point.
Right.
Now that you have that, most people, they're just going at it, just trying to become speakers.
Right.
And regardless, even if they were to pay me $100,000 to coach them and say, I just want to share my story, I just want to get on TED Talk, I say no. I look at your business model first. I'm like, what do you have of tangible value that when people fall in love with you on TED, on Oprah, on any platform, that they want to continue the relationship with you, where can they go? If you can't answer that question properly, you're not my client. I will not take you as a client unless you're willing to figure out what your experience is and how we can transition that into an expertise that could add value. So this is your value here. This is
wait till you see the next one.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm fun with that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm excited.
He was pointing at the headquarters.
Yeah.
Dude, so let's switch gears. I want to switch gears because we actually talked about this morning during our workout, which by the way, dude, you're an incredible athlete.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was watching you when I was warming up, and you whatever the fuck you were doing over there on the bar where you were.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck? That's Karate Kid shit, bro.
Ice cream shakers,
dude.
Yeah, it's
I'm over there watching this shit. Like honestly, because I didn't know like if you trained or what you did.
Yeah.
So I've been training my whole life. So I'm like, he asked to work out, and I was like, fuck, dude, I hope this guy actually works out. so I walk in the gym, and this dude's like hanging from the fucking from the pull-up bar, like lifting his whole body parallel to the ground, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I hope I worked out enough. Like, dude,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, it was good. But we had a good workout, and we were talking. Let's switch gears and let's take. All right. We've demonstrated, some information about speaking. If you want to become a speaker.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about the practical skill of speaking.
Yeah.
For most of the people listening here, one of the things, if you want to manage people, if you want to lead people, if you want to run a company and have employees and build a real brand, something that you have to develop is your ability to speak.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some basics for those guys.
100%.
Because I feel like, you asked me how long I've been speaking, and I said being paid to speak like 2 or 3 years, but I've been speaking for 20 years because I had to speak at my company. And, we talked about it on the podcast with Jordan Harbinger, my first meeting, like he identified it. He's like, yeah, dude, when you're standing there with the paper and your hands shaking and you think everybody sees, like, dude, that was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I come from as a speaker. And a lot of people, when I say like, dude, I wasn't a naturally gifted or charismatic speaker, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was terrified. I was fucking horrible. I didn't know how to speak. I had my notes here and I tried, dude, I can remember the first time we had our company banquet. And we had like, I don't know, maybe 60 people, 50 people at it total with like dates and everything. Now it's, hundreds and hundreds of people. But I remember having to give the speech, dude, and being nervous as fuck and like getting up there and like I had it all written out perfectly, like if I would have read it. And so then I started like reading it, and then I got off track, and then I had to go back, and like, dude, I fucked it up so bad. But that's where I come from as a speaker. You know what I mean? And I think most people who are having to stand in front of 6 or 10 or 12 employees right now, they can identify with that feeling, right? So how can somebody who's in that position, what should they do?
So I would say if you're in any leadership position where you have to influence a company or influence a community, okay? First thing, when you said script, ditch the script, embody your message. The way that you do that is focus on establishing or starting a conversation versus developing a presentation, right? I think so many people get caught up and in their heads because they feel like, oh, it has to be super polished or whatever.
Yes.
But I am infamous for saying your imperfections make you influential.
I agree.
So it's like, if you can't fix it, feature it. So for example, like, it's taking the story-proof framework and applying it here. Lead, like connect with them, right? Because especially if you're in a leadership position, right? You almost, whether you want it or not, you're almost in a pedestal, on a pedestal. And it's almost as if like you say like, listen, like, here's the thing. What is the exact outcome that you want your team, your community to take? Get super clear on what that one objective is. Once you get that, say, okay, what do I need to say that can speak directly to that?
Yeah.
And even it's like, I have this thing where my name in Arabic means to come alive, right? And for me, every great speaker, regardless if you're doing
that's an appropriate name for you.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you. Yeah, like I live up to my name. And even with my clients, I say like, listen, are you alive? And what I'm looking for is this, ALIVE. Are you authentic? Are you likable? Are you influential? Are you vulnerable? And are you empathetic? ALIVE.
Man, that's great.
Yeah. So when you can do that, regardless of your desire for speaking, whether it's in a company or a community, just come from that place and lead with that. So what authenticity, somebody once asked me, like, what's the difference between authenticity and vulnerability, aren't they the same exact thing? And I just like, let's remove all the fluff, and I'll just use a political example, regardless of our opinions here. I'm not like one side or anything like that. Trump is an authentic person, in my opinion. He's not that vulnerable. And that's the difference between authenticity and vulnerability, right? You need a mixture of both.
He's the guy who says, hey, if you don't like it, too bad.
Right.
But he's also not able to say, you know what, I really fucked that up.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And that's what is required in a leadership position.
Right.
So if you're managing, if you're leading, if you're influencing, we're a team.
Dude, his fucking rating would go up 1,000,000%.
I was gonna say.
If he would just be able to say, hey guys, you know what, I'm not fucking perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he should hire me as his coach.
Dude, bro, seriously.
I'll change the game for him.
He fucking should.
Can you state again what the ALIVE?
Yeah. So A is for authentic. Like, are you real? Are you raw? Are you transparent? Like, I want you, as I'm doing this, I just want you to like notice Andy as an example, right? Because everybody kind of like knows you. So to me, you passed a live checklist, right? So are you authentic, real, raw, and you know, and just genuine, right?
You are who you are.
Right. L, are you likable? Meaning not likable to everybody. You're not trying to win the approval, but there are certain people who get to know you. Like, whether they like you or hate you or whatever, like, they get to feel you, and that's what makes you more attractive, like likable, right?
That assumes a basic level, a basic character.
Yeah,
right?
sincere, genuine. Like, I get you, like, regardless of whether I agree with your values.
Well, dude, I get a lot of people, like we were talking today, who they'll fucking email me, and they'll be like, bro, I got to be real with you. When I first heard you, I fucking hated you.
Yeah.
But they're like, but I listen, and I listen a little more, and I listen a little more.
Right.
And dude, I just fucking love it.
And that's the same thing that I get. So when people get me in the way that I present myself, like, I'm goofy as fuck. I'm cheesy as shit. Like, that's who I am. Like, behind the camera, behind closed, like, that's me. People, some like, oh, this guy's like a fucking little kid, right? But then when they get to know me, that's what so the likable piece says, do you like yourself enough to wear your heart on your sleeve and be you? Right? When you like yourself, that's when you become super fucking attractive.
You don't have anything to be ashamed of.
Bingo.
Right. Yeah.
And then the I is influential, meaning, do you understand the secrets of persuasion? Can you influence people in the better direction? You know, I think influencers, anybody who's influential, Hitler was influential.
Dude, he's most influential. He's one of the most influential humans on the. Dude, I got asked one time, and I got a lot of heat for this. I'll say it again. I'm going to get a lot of heat again.
Yeah.
They said, dude, if you could sit down with someone for a day, dead or alive, who would it be? And I said Hitler.
Wow.
And the reason I say that is not because I fucking admire him, but I want to observe him to see how the fuck somebody was able to become so influential to convince people to do the fucking terrible, horrible, despicable shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
The guy had to have had superhuman influential skills.
Yeah.
Because, dude, to convince people to do that. And to me, I would like to see that. Like, it's interesting to me.
Yeah. A great book for anybody who wants to master influence and build a movement and a culture is True Believer. Look up, buy the book True Believer by Eric Hofner, I believe his name is. Phenomenal book. You guys are already doing it phenomenally. So that's the influential piece. And V is the vulnerable piece. And the vulnerability is not crying your eyes out, but it's not,
No, it's just knowing you fucking got faults just like everybody else.
You're featuring your flaws. You're saying like there's your imperfections. You say like, here it is. Like, this is me. And if you have to cry, okay, own that. If like for me,
but don't
vulnerability
fucking fake
is
cry. Because you want to be vulnerable.
Right.
Like, you see this shit now.
Some people get super manipulative with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, my God. It's like, okay, cool. I'm getting an emotional story. Let me just cry.
Yeah.
Nah, stop.
Yeah.
Because everybody can feel the intent. It comes down to the intent.
Right.
And then the E is empathetic. If vulnerability is you wearing your heart on your sleeve and just like featuring your flaws and saying like, I'm imperfect, then empathy is putting yourself in your audience's shoes and saying, I get you. It's not your fault. I understand.
And dude, there's value to that too. Like, there's why empathy is so important and vulnerability is so important is because, dude, when you're not vulnerable and you're not truly empathetic to people, you actually make them feel worse about themselves. Right. And it's an abuse of your platform.
Yes.
I have major issues with people who do that, where they always have to be right and they put themselves in this superhuman place when they're influential. And what they don't, first of all, what they don't realize is that when they put themselves in the superhuman place, they actually limit their ability to become
100%.
Influential. And the other thing is that, dude, you're doing the opposite of empowering people.
Right.
You're limiting people's ability to believe in themselves because they look at you and they say, dude, this guy must have something that I don't have. And when your true duty and obligation is to understand and be real with people and let them know that there's nothing that you have that they don't fucking have.
Right.
So that they can be empowered and believe in themselves and take that first 5 or 6 steps onto the journey of that we know they're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, and that really bothers me with a lot of the quote unquote speaking celebrities and entrepreneurs is their lack of empathy and and vulnerability. Right. You know, Gary talks about empathy all the time, but dude, I don't think anybody understands what the fuck he means by it.
Right.
He just says it.
Yeah.
And like, dude, what we're talking about is making people understand that we know what it's like and we relate to you because we've been you.
Yes.
And when you're too prideful and too arrogant, you know, because you've been successful for a number of years and you've got money and you've got this to where you forget where the fuck you came from. Not only are you hurting people, but you're limiting your own ability to grow.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the difference between being a speaker.
Dude, Tony Robbins is so good at that.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Dude, he's so good at it.
Because he comes from the frame, and this is...
I believe that it's genuine, too.
Yeah.
I've never met him before, but, dude, I believe that it's genuine.
Well, here's what's interesting. I believe it takes a stronger person to be more loving than right.
No question, dude.
So it's like, if you come from the place of love, you come from your heart, and you're just connecting with them and saying, like, listen, it's not your fault. You're not alone. I get you. Those are the 3 most powerful phrases you'll ever have as an influencer, right? You say that, then you can come in with the authority piece and saying, I got you. Here's what you need to do.
Right.
Now you can stem up, use your assertiveness, use your guide.
Because I've been there.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, don't walk on this path, do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I agree. 100%.
And then you transform from someone who's like we talked about, talking on a pedestal down to the peasants to someone who is a man amongst or a woman amongst the people.
Yeah.
And that's where the power is.
Yeah.
You know, and dude, the cool thing about it is that when I say that's where the power is actually the morally right thing to do as well.
Yeah.
Because you're empowering other people around you to live better lives.
Right.
So, dude, one thing that transformed and I just want to share this, and, you know, you could tell me what you think, that transformed my ability to speak was ditching the script. Okay, a lot of people don't know the X's and O's of speaking. So when they get put in a position to speak, they think they're going to go write out this perfect speech and they're going to go up there like Barack Obama and fucking deliver it. And you're just not, dude. That motherfucker is one of the best speakers ever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think of his politics.
Yeah.
Fucking dude could speak.
Yeah, he's a great speaker.
Oh, man.
Great orator.
Yeah. And dude, you know, you're just not going to be that.
100%.
Right? So like
100%.
So let's break it down. So like people laugh at me because sometimes when I speak, I'll show them my hand. All right. And on my hand will be written 3 points.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will have point 1, point 2, and point 3. And point 1 might be tell the story of this. Okay. Point 2 might be, it'll be like one sentence of the main point, like talk about this.
Yeah.
And then 3 will be close with this.
Right.
And that's my fucking speech.
Yeah.
That's an hour speech right there. Okay.
Right.
All the shit that goes in between those points is coming out of me in an authentic way.
I love that.
So if you want to be authentic, actually be authentic.
Right.
Go up there without a script and have the points and know the direction you want to take. And you know what? You might not speak for your full 60 minutes. It might be 48. Or 41, but guess what? The quality of the talk will be the best.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing that dude, this makes me cringe when people do this is when they walk up and they say something like this before they ever start. Well, you know, I'm not a professional speaker, so we'll see how this goes. Okay. First of all, bro, you just lost the audience for the whole fucking hour. Right. Now everybody thinks you're a fucking clown.
Right.
Okay. So when you go up there, and that is not being vulnerable, that's being incompetent.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
Ooh, I like
okay.
That. Yes.
So when you walk up and your job as, let's say you own a company or you're giving a sales talk or you have to give an award and you go up and you say, well, this is my first time giving a speech and I'm really fucking nervous, bro, you just bomb the speech.
Yeah.
Say no more. Go sit fuck down.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're telling the audience that this is going to be fucking terrible. All right. So you got to believe in yourself a little bit.
100%.
All right.
And like, even if you don't feel like,
hey, look, you're going to be nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's on that point, the fact that you're nervous only means you care.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
People say, like, when people are like, oh my God, I was nervous before I got on here. That's because I care about the value that I'm going to bring to you guys and your audience, right? Like, it's being nervous. In my opinion, I think I've heard you say you never get nervous when you speak.
That's because I'm gonna talk about that in a second.
Because nervousness is just a physiological reaction that your body naturally has.
That's right.
Whether it's fear or excitement, because nervousness can translate into fear or excitement.
Okay.
I get fucking excited.
Okay, so dude, people ask me, do you get nervous? No, I don't get nervous because I choose to put myself in a different state.
Right.
When you see me walk on stage, what's going through my mind is I'm the baddest motherfucker on the face of the earth, and I'm going to destroy every fucking person's soul in this room. Okay? And that's what's going through my fucking
I
head.
love it. I fucking love it.
I am not nervous. I'm taking the nervous energy and putting it into a different place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
And
Yeah.
like, dude, so when I go up there and you feel a presence, like this guy don't give a fuck, that's because I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good state to be in too.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Tony Robbins, what he does is he has like a few affirmations, and he does like some priming. And he starts moving into the state, and I don't know, I can't remember word for word, but he says something like, God grant me like the confidence and the audacity to do whatever I can to add value to the audience. Like he shifts into that. And
he's coming on stage knowing that he's going to be the baddest dude out there.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He owns his power, and because he owns his power backstage before the speech begun, his presence is so fucking gigantic on stage.
Yeah.
And that's what presence is all about. It's before you even say one fucking word, how do you own the stage?
Yeah.
And that's what adds the value there.
Yeah.
Like,
and you guess what? By going up there and grabbing your fucking paper and saying, I never did this before, I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
Guess what you just did?
Yeah.
You didn't own anything.
Right.
You just said you're a bitch.
Yeah.
So don't fucking do it. Dude, I can't stand it when people do that. It drives me insane.
I love you, Andy. You're just great.
I want to go grab the motherfucker, pull him off the stage, give him a talk, and send him back up there.
And then I'll give him a hug right after.
Dude. Like, dude.
I'll give it's okay. I know Andy was hard on you.
Listen,
give me a hug.
don't say that shit. Man.
Well, to your point, I mean, people, if you don't say it, people are going to see it, and they're going to be naturally empathetic.
Yeah.
You don't have to say it.
That's right.
They're just going to be naturally empathetic.
So, we all imagine these worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Try to imagine the best case scenario. Yeah. Okay? Instead of imagining you going up there and bombing your talk, go up there and imagine that everybody in the room is going to run through the fucking wall after you get done talking. Or they're going to go out and do whatever it is you're wanting them to do.
100%.
Like if you're running a sales meeting and you've got to talk in front of 20 people, imagine these people being excited to go out and sell the product that you just talked to them about, okay?
Right.
Instead of thinking about you.
Yep, focus on the outcome.
That's right, dude, because it all comes down to the intent.
Yep.
If your intent is to actually help the people in the room and you have the information to do that, what do you have to be nervous about? If your intent is to get a reaction and get the praise and the claps, you have a fucking reason to be nervous because if that's your intent, everybody's going to know it and they're not going to clap.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So, dude, I truly, firmly believe that being a great speaker comes down, and dude, not just a speaker, but a personality on social media, or if you're going to run a podcast or do a YouTube show or whatever it is, your intent should be about them.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, and I do want to add
I truly
here,
believe that comes down to the I think that's seriously like 90% of the equation.
Yeah, it all comes down to really knowing your personality, right? Like, because if somebody hears you and they're like, I feel like there are certain archetypes on stage, like just like there's different characters, like people. I think you have a very almost like a pioneering leadership, like here, follow me. We got so that works for you because that's who you are. But there are some people who are not like that, and even the thought of that, like introverted people. A lot of people come up to me and they're like, "Yeah, but I can't speak because I'm
an introvert.
I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
So it's like
I'm a social introvert. Like, dude, I want to be by myself 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And I could tolerate other people.
Right.
I don't really, and like, dude, you might look at me and I'm going to look like I'm enjoying it.
Right.
But really, the truth is I would rather be alone.
Right. But if you look at it, like one lady I love her name is Brene Brown. She has one of the most viral talks on TED. Right? So the power of vulnerability. And if you study her talks, about 19 minutes long, it was our first talk. She was nervous as shit. She was like fumbling her words in the very beginning. She led with a story and she was so conversational, but that's what made her impactful and influential, right? You can have the most polished well-presented speaker, and you could have the most imperfect conversational speaker, and I'll put money on it.
Oh, yeah.
The person who's more imperfect and more conversational will win every single time.
It's because it's easier to connect with the
Bingo.
audience connects with them.
Yeah,
right.
so for those of you who are thinking that here it is. This is the final word on this. If you're thinking that you have to be someone that you're not in order to win your audience, stop. Be yourself. Bring that to the table. Whether you're goofy, whether you're serious, whatever. Do you like yourself enough to wear your heart on your sleeve and be who you are? If you can do that, you might not win everybody, but that's fine because you're not speaking to everybody.
Right.
You're trying to attract the right people to your flower.
Right.
You're trying to attract the right people into your worldview. And that's where your focus should be. So it always comes down, in my opinion, to be like, I think like my whole shtick, if there's 3 things that I want people to live by to become more alive, is this. Become, number 1, unapologetically self-expressed. Number 2, unconditionally love yourself because you accept who you are and you don't need anybody else's validation. And number 3, do what you love to do while living life on your terms. You come from that frame, automatically you're in a position of value where you can add to people. So it's like, that's what I want people to do. It's like, just have the audacity to be authentic. Have the audacity to be vulnerable. And it's like, and do shit the way that you want to do. And you'll learn along the way whether you can tweak here and there.
What
like,
your style is, how you're going to flow.
Most people, they don't practice,
connect.
bro.
Yeah.
They're afraid. They're looking for perfection before they actually practice. Right. And I'm like, if doctors can get paid for private
how do you
practice,
by the way? You stand up in front of your fucking team and you suck for a while.
Yes, and you say like, holy shit, you know, that's great. You work on your craft. I never practiced speaking before I got paid. Like my first speech was on March 17th, 2011, St. Patrick's Day. And I remember, I'm doing this whole program, the speaking program, and for 3 months, I kid you not, I'm trying to perfect my 60-minute talk. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna say? What story should I share? And everything like that. And my mentor comes up to me, he's like, Yahya, fuck the presentation, book your first gig. I'm like, what do you mean book my first gig? I don't even have I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. He's like, doesn't matter. All you're going to be talking about is overcoming adversity. That's what your ideal, the buyer wants, the motivation, all that. Speak to that and start getting on calls, close. There's nothing that will motivate you like a deadline. So I legit got on the calls, and literally within like 20th call, somebody said, okay, cool. This was a Monday. Can you come on Friday? We have 100 students who are at-risk youth. Can you speak to them? And I was like, yeah, sure. How much do you charge? $100, you know? She's like, okay, cool. And I was like, all I need is a video testimonial. Can you just give me, if I do a good job, can you give me a video testimonial? That's all I did. Was I prepared for that talk? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Was it because here's the thing. If you invest all of your fucking time trying to perfect your speech, here's the reality. In 2 months from now, that whole thing is going to change. So you know what I do with my clients? I just had a world-class speaker live event a few weeks ago in Hollywood Hills, and I have my students prepare their fucking speech. And when they get up on stage and I give them the spotlight, it's called the spotlight session. I was like, all right, now you have an hour with me. The first 5 minutes, I want you to prepare your speech. Practice what you prepared. And they practice it. And this is what I say after they're done. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I want you to throw out everything that you just practiced for. And I want you to just go from your heart. Ditch the script, embody your message. Let's go. And 9 times out of 10, the people who dish the script are the most powerful speakers because they're out of their head and into their bodies.
I think that's a lot. I think a lot of people just they misunderstand the X's and O's of how to speak.
Yeah.
You know, because they're told like, dude, I got a fucking D in my college public speaking class.
Yeah.
Like, and they're because I was taught the wrong shit.
Yeah.
You know, oh, have this 4-page outline and go off of that and this and that. No, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, you need so to your point, everybody tries to write word for word. You don't do that.
Yes.
Because the moment is going to change. You got to be in the moment. Bullet points.
I write a sentence that will spark a thought.
Bingo. So
Okay?
you know,
Yeah.
like, if you're going to share a story, it's like, okay, what is the outcome of that story?
Right.
Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what is the point of you actually sharing that? Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah, dude.
How do you want them to walk away?
The constructing the talk is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Ben Newman was real helpful with that process, and so has Vaughn. Vaughn's been super helpful with helping me prep talks.
Yeah.
But dude, it's just an intro story, 3 sentences of that'll spark a conversation,
Right.
And then a story to close, and
Yeah.
like it's
It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's the basics.
Yeah, I think if you go, I think if you try to go to like a word for word manuscript, you start getting in your own head and you're thinking, oh, I missed the word.
I missed that. I had this great sentence planned out and everybody was going to react this way and I fucked it up. So now I'm going to go back to it.
Yeah.
And then when you go back, it doesn't work. Yeah. And everybody's looking at you like you're crazy.
Right.
And now you're flustered. Dude, it's just a bad
Right. So like I like to approach speaking the same way that I approach my training.
Yeah.
Is isolation leads to integration. Integration leads to improvisation. So think of like when it comes to speaking, think of like you guys listen to hip hop or rap.
Yeah,
right?
dude.
So you see like
Vaughn. That's how he got the name.
Vaughn got that swag. That's how Smoller.
That's how he got that name, DJ God.
I love it. I love it.
I got me some Eazy-E.
You gotta drop a freestyle.
That's a little bit behind.
You can drop. I'm putting you on the spot, bro.
Well, see,
you gotta earn the DJ title.
One of these days, I'm gonna drop it on Andy, and he's not. It's gonna blow his mind. He's gonna have no idea.
I love it.
Vaughn's that dude in fucking Office Space, like he fucking rapping in his car.
I wish I could freestyle.
Yeah.
But to that point, it's like in the hip hop industry, you got lyricists, and then you got freestylers. Right? So lyricists, they know the lyrics word for word because they know the punchline. If you look at a stand-up comedian, that special that you saw on Netflix or whatever on stage, right? They went to hundreds of different clubs. They tested that material, and then what they did was they took us like, okay, that got a laugh, that actually landed. So let me just take that and let me throw out all the other stuff. So that's how they actually prepare, is through practicing. And then what you see is almost like a flawless 1 hour special that seems so spontaneous and so authentic, like on the spot that they were able to ad-lib. But what they really did was just they practiced a bunch of times. They got audience feedback. They saw what landed, what didn't. So they're studying. And then they say, okay, cool. Now I isolate these different parts. This landed. Here, let me integrate it into my stand-up. And then let me improvise an ad-lib there. If you just start with improvisation and you have no structure, you're fucked. Right? You have to, even what you're saying, the bullet points. You know, what is that one sentence? That's a structure. So you're isolating it, but don't get too attached to, well, I should say it like this.
Right.
I should say, because that's where you get too stuck in your head and people can feel that.
Dude, and I think people too, like you, those of you guys who are listening who have a company or have let me explain to you this is fucking easy.
Yeah.
Get your motherfuckers that work for you in a group and put them in a half circle and have them stand there.
Right.
And talk for 30 fucking minutes about something with your business. And do that literally every week for the next fucking 10 years.
That's what you did.
Yes.
Yes.
It's that simple, okay? And you're going to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And you know what? You probably learn it in 2 or 3 years, okay? But we're not talking about, just because he's saying get a gig book and this and that, don't overcomplicate the shit, all right? If you want to get good at this, practice.
In front of whoever.
That's right.
Don't practice in the fucking mirror.
Yeah, no.
Practice in front of an audience.
That's right.
Right.
And dude, if you run a warehouse crew and you want to because guys, this is an essential tool to become a leader and a manager, a valuable one of people. Because what are you doing? You're motivating or inspiring a group of people to do X, and whatever X is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You've just got to practice. So if you want the best running warehouse in the world, guess what? Get your team together on a fucking weekly basis and give them a little talk. And talk for 15 to 30 minutes and just work it out.
Yeah.
You know, and eventually you won't be giving talks to the warehouse crew. You'll be giving talks to the fucking executives of the company.
Yep.
Because so many people overlook this skill as a necessity and they look at it as an option. And the truth of it is that if you want to move people, if you want to be valuable, if you want to be valuable within an organization or run your own company, your ability to speak and move and inspire and motivate and teach is essential.
Yeah.
It is not optional.
100%. And to add to what you're saying, if there's another thing, like a phrase that you drill into your mind, is this: facts tell details, feelings move people. The way that you capture people's feelings is through story, right? Really getting into the emotions of things. So if you're trying to tell, quote unquote, someone something, what are you feeling in that moment?
Well, for example, what you, and dude, what I would do if I was a guy, let's just make it real simple. I'm running a warehouse. We're looking at my warehouse right now out the glass. I'm Scott, who runs the warehouse, and I want to run a great team. You know what I do? I pull my fucking team together, and the first fucking 10 minutes or 15 minutes, guess what I'm doing? I'm telling them a fucking story. hey guys, when I first started here, me and Andy used to go back and pick up the boxes at our factory in the back of our pickup truck, and we drove them all around, and we did this and this and this. And I tell them a story that somehow relates to the lesson of the fact that I'm going to then present. Okay? So I'm telling a story, I'm capturing their interest, I'm getting their emotional buy-in, then I'm going to present them with the 1, 2, 3 of how we're going to fucking do what I just told you we did. Okay? And dude, that's all it is.
Led with connection, then content.
Yeah, because if you don't have the connection, you don't have the attention, and if you don't have the attention, you can't make the impact.
And just to tie this back, you remember how you were talking about? Like, oh, it's all about relationships, right? It is, because when you think about relationships, like especially like, I'm just using females for just a moment. It's like they make decisions not from logic, from emotion first.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you want to influence a person, influence their emotions, right, and see how you can get there. So it's the same principles. On how it's even with business, it's the same exact principles. Like, what is the emotional buy-in? How are you really connecting with them? Connect first, then whatever you feel like is going to quote unquote change your life when it comes to the content, that comes in afterwards.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, 2 things. 1, I really want to name this episode "Secrets of the Yahya Brotherhood."
I love that. I love that. That's dope.
And number 2, how do people connect with you?
Yeah. So
wait, now, dude, I don't let people plug their shit on the show. But I'm going to let you plug your shit because I know that you can legitimately change people's skills with what you teach.
I appreciate that.
So how can guys like and girls who are listening and they want to become a better speaker, how can they learn from you?
So I actually created a free resource. If they go to worldclassspeaker.com/blueprint, it's a PDF that talks about the 5 steps to become a world-class speaker. You can take, I kid you not, that PDF has built 6-figure careers with just speaking alone. It has all the information.
And by the way, it's
need.
fucking free.
Yeah, it's free, completely free. So it's like a legit, like I've taken 8 years of experience when it comes to the speaking and breaking it down to the art and the business of speaking. So there you have it. If you guys want that, worldclassspeaker.com/blueprint. My intention, this is me being vulnerable, is I admire what you've built. What you've done, and just coming from a student first, how I've seen people like you, like Ed Milet, like Gary Vee, like you guys, you did it right, you know. So one of my intentions in the next couple of years is to build that flower, right? Grow a social media platform to really use the vehicles of social media and speaking to help others, shine a spotlight on them to accelerate their message and their mission forward. So if you guys want to find me on Instagram, that's kind of like where I'm at. It's at Yahya Bakkar, YAHYABAKKAR. So,
dude, very and cool. You guys, listen, if you want to learn how to speak, and I was fortunate because I had some guys around me like Vaughn who spoke basically for a living as a pastor for a long time. And then I had my friend Ben Newman, who's also a professional speaker, around me when I was sort of transitioning from just speaking within the company to getting paid to speak. So I had good coaches, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And don't let that blow your fucking head up.
I was going to say, he's being extremely complimentary. Like,
I love it.
Off the charts.
Vaughn had a lot more experience than me, and so did Ben, and they both were very helpful on structuring. Vaughn's still very helpful in me structuring. But, you know, if you guys are looking for someone to help guide you through the process of learning how to do this, dude, Yahya is the fucking best in the world at what he does. So you guys have to, you know, you guys know I don't just have fucking anybody on the podcast. So, you know, if this is something that you're learning and you're wanting to learn, and I think you should, if you're wanting to become an effective entrepreneur, an effective leader, an effective manager of people at a bare minimum, you don't have to go out and become a professional speaker. Follow what he's doing and learn from this man because he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
And I just want to drive home something we've been saying, but it bears repeating, which is all of these things that you guys are talking about that are you know really good for platform speaking have applications to everything. I mean, we've talked about that, but I just really want to drive that home to
at the
people.
bare minimum, it helps you with people.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if
communication.
if you're a young man, you know, or a young female that's wanting to, you know, attract a better mate, guess what can help you instantly? Becoming more charismatic with your speaking.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, all kidding aside.
So it all comes down to getting laid, right?
Getting paid and getting laid.
That's right.
All kidding aside, it would be interesting for someone to go into a bar and think, okay, person, problem, perspective, process, promise.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, here's this person, and my problem is I'm not having sex with them yet.
Their problem, they need to be having sex with me.
That's their problem, so I'm going to solve it.
That's my perspective.
I think you should have sex with me. Here we go. And here's how we do this. You follow me, get in my car.
And let's be vulnerable.
And I promise this will be amazing.
Let's be vulnerable. You know what? I might not be the best you ever had, but it's going to be good.
But it'll be a decent time.
And you know what? Then you're humorous at the same time. Dude, look, we just need to start a whole program.
I love that idea.
Listen, I will say this. I will say this. You mentioned Ed. At the time of this airing of this podcast, we will have launched a pretty amazing thing, which for the sake of continued mystery, we won't talk about here. But you probably on the next Thursday Thunder, you'll go into that a little bit more. But pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited with you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Are you mainly active on Instagram? Or are you also?
Well, yeah. So I'm trying to master the social media game right now and figuring out. So right now, the where I'm really focusing on is on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I do on Facebook and on YouTube, but mainly Instagram right now. So that's where I'm at. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Guys, this has been a trip. I love this, and I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me,
This is a super valuable skill for people to understand and learn. I don't think people take it as serious as they should.
Yeah.
I believe that, I don't know many I don't know many multimillionaire dudes, unless they're professional athletes, that can't speak at least effectively. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. And I think it's a valuable skill that people need to put time into that will enrich your life. And that's why I wanted to have you on, dude, because we never had somebody come on and talk about the X's and O's of how to be a speaker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people look at it as a mysterious thing. Like, how does this person have this skill? Dude, we were bad at it for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. So, dude, thank you so much, man.
You.
And we'll catch you guys next time.